All right, guys. So today was a red day, nonetheless. Another red day, second red day for the month, and overall, not a great day in the markets. Overall, not a lot of top gainers today, and that usually when that happens, I just don't do as well. I know for myself, usually when I see something that's pushing, over 50% in the market, that's where I tend to do the best. And even higher, if it's, like we had back in July where we had, over 600% on some of those days trading. Today was just not one of those. And overall, today's gainer, I think overall finished not even very well. It actually finished negative 11.89%. So didn't do that well. But this morning it was up right around 30 to 40% as a gainer, as the top gainer, actually. At least the ones that I'm looking at as far as the stocks that I pick and the stocks that I choose. And today on that list was ZCMD. And overall, when I looked at the stats this morning, it met all my criteria. The float was right, 2.26 million, average volume of about 450,000, and actual volume was almost 25 million. So definitely up, which is what I like to see. And then the only thing was it just didn't have a clear catalyst as far as what it was. However, the problem with it was, when the clear stock is a Chinese stock, which I believe this one is, I'm not sure. I'm always a little leery of that as well. So that makes me a little more leery as well. So I was looking at this stock this morning and I thought, at 7 o'clock, this may make a decent move. And it did, if I got in at the right point. But honestly, this wasn't an A trade right here that I made this morning. So right at 7:01 or 7 o'clock this morning, I was waiting for some momentum to pop into the market, see what's going on, and maybe this particular trade would start to move up. And I got this nice little bump up right here. However, when I decided to take the trade, I got in on this particular candle, not this big green one, which would have been really nice to get in on at the bottom of that. But I didn't do that. I got in on this, which was my pullback, which is the normal spot where I would get in when I'm trading. And it bumped up. It kind of went up to, let's see, $1.84, $1.85, something like that. So I got in at, let's see, 205, 205. So got in a bit high on that. So somewhere way up in here, actually, 205, it filled kind of high, and then it just never came back up. And that was the one thing I didn't care for today. It was that the fill wasn't very good. And then trying to get in on this pullback right here just didn't work, and ended up stopping out with a 5-cent loss on it. Took 400 shares, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to hold back. I wasn't seeing a whole lot, and I decided to wait a little bit, and then I actually took the next trade right at, let's see, 7:02, which is a few minutes later, right in here, and I got stuck in this little bit of a flush, and that's what kind of ended up drawing me down a little bit more than I needed to, at $27.80 for the loss today. So it ended up just getting out of it, and I decided, you know what, this stock, I'm not a big fan of it. It's got a lot of topping tails in it, which is not a good sign of good price action or anything like that. What you're really looking for is, clean tops to all your candles, and maybe some bottoming tails. Bottoming tails are fine, just the topping tails are not, because that means the bears are pushing the market back down. So anytime it does come up, it always seems like the bears are just pushing it right back down, and there's a lot of selling going on in this particular stock. And overall, when I started seeing things like this big red volume bar right here, that's pretty much indicative of, a lot of selling on this particular stock. Even though it did move higher at this point, it's just very choppy price action overall, and it was just hard to trade this stock. And I took 2 trades on this stock initially. I didn't even trade it at the open. I think at the open, let's see here, go back to that. It dropped off. It did exactly what I thought it was going to do. It was going to drop off. It wasn't going to pump up. It was going to drop off. And it did exactly that. And it actually sold off and just went sideways literally the entire day. I mean, it didn't really come up except for this one spot in here today, which really didn't give a lot of an opportunity or anything like that. And it still just ended the same way. Just went sideways all day after that point, after it dropped off this morning. And so, that was really the one stock I could trade today. When I was looking at my scanners overall this morning, a lot of the stocks were either penny stocks, or they were priced too high, or they had too high of a float. So it was just really hard for me to get into a stock this morning. And this really, the only one that met my parameters today was ZCMD. So I decided to just stay low and not take any more trades for the day. So what does that leave me for the day? So I obviously lost a little bit today, $27.80, which brings me down to $1,123.19. So does draw me down a little bit, but in no way is it a catastrophe and like blowing up my account. And that's probably the thing I need to be thankful for, is that I didn't blow up my account. I've been running this account since the end of May, and I'm up $123. Still, which isn't huge, but I'm going in the right direction, which is exactly what you want to be doing. And this is going to take time. We got to understand, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. We gotta continually put in the work and take trades every day in order to get a little better every single day and keep learning new things, because that's the way this always goes. So let's go ahead. I want to talk a little bit about my metrics before we wrap up in here. And one thing about today's trades, particularly that I want to discuss, is the fact that I had 2 negative trades right off the bat today, and that was a little frustrating. Now, when I look at my trading plan, I pulled that up here just to show you why I have this plan. And one of my rules inside of my plan, and my risk management rules, is that if I have 3 bad trades in a row, I'm done for the day. It's obviously, if I have those trades and I had 3, I'm done. Now, I could have taken one more trade today if I wanted to, but I didn't, because I knew that if I would, it was just going to result with the way the stocks were today, not a big gainer, not a lot going on. It was just going to result in another loss and a little bit more money out of my account. So I knew I had to follow my rules here today very strictly, because I knew that if I would take one more, I'm going to lose more money. I'm just going to be throwing it out the window, and it's not worth it. So in the end, it's not about trading my P&L and trying to get back to green. It's about following my rules and what I have set up here for myself. And my plan is to follow these my risk management rules, to trade on a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. 3 bad trades, you're out. If I lose 50% on the day's earnings, I'm done. Max loss, eventually it's going to be $500. Right now I'm at $100. So, I'll be upping that eventually, but right now, max loss $50, not $100, $50. So it's 10% of this right now, but eventually it will be $500 per day. That will be my max loss I can take. And then overall, I want to follow these rules and follow the rules that I've set for myself, so that way I end up not falling into these things like spirals and stuff like that. Because honestly, this day right here, yes, it's a little bit of a mark on my record for the month, but it's not terrible. If you look back at last month, I had $102 loss the first week, the first 3 days of the month of July. So that wasn't very good. And I should have managed risk a little better when I was doing that. So I didn't go over the $50 mark. So I would say this was a successful red day, overall. Now it brings my success rate down to 60%, which is still good. I want to be over 50 at least. But I do want to get above 60, like overall when I start trading in an actual account, money account. And then when you look at the overall monthly P&L, I'm still at $40.70 for the month. And then average green trade, $25.17, but average red trade, $17.40. So it did bump that number up quite a bit, which actually bumped down my profit to loss ratio. So 1.44 to 1. So not as good, but for the week, I am down $4.30. but I got a 66% success rate. So not bad there. So still doing good. So overall, we still got a lot of month left yet. So not worried about that, but I did use up my one red day for the week. So my goal here is that every week I have just one red day and that's it. One red day and that's it. So that means I want to have the rest of the week as green days. And I want to focus on having green days every day as much as possible, and then minimizing these red days as much as possible and cutting them back down to as small as I can keep them. $7 like last week. I had $7. This week I had $27.80. But I think if I can have a couple really good green days to finish out the week, we'll definitely be sitting in a good spot. So overall, that has been everything. If you'd like to follow along, you can subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.